It was almost midnight when the city lights began to blur through the rain-streaked windows of Ethan's old taxi. The streets shimmered with reflections of neon signs and hurried shadows, but his eyes were heavy, not from the rain, but from exhaustion. He had just finished his third shift of the day. His daughter, Lily, was asleep at home under the care of an elderly neighbor, waiting for the sound of the key turning in the door, the signal that her father had made it through another long day. But that night, fate had something different planned for Ethan. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of doing good even when no one is watching, please take a second to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Kindness Thread channel, because stories like this are meant to remind us that goodness still exists in the quiet corners of ordinary lives. That night, Ethan's phone buzzed with a message from his company's group chat. Urgent, someone needs a ride from the Sterling Hotel. Please respond if nearby. He sighed. It was the 5th time this month someone had left late from a corporate event. He didn't want to go, but he needed the extra pay. He adjusted his jacket, wiped his tired eyes, and headed toward the hotel. When he arrived, he immediately recognized the person leaning unsteadily against the glass doors. It was his boss, Clara Bennett, the company's young CEO. She was known for her calm authority, flawless posture, and sharp words. But tonight, that image was shattered. Her once crisp white blouse was marked with spilled wine, her hair a tangled mess, and her glassy eyes stared into the distance with confusion. Ethan froze for a moment, unsure what to do. She didn't notice him at first, she was too busy mumbling something about being tired of fake smiles and boardroom games. He stepped forward carefully, speaking softly so as not to startle her. Ms. Bennett, it's Ethan. Let me help you. She turned toward him, her voice trembling as she said his name. Ethan, what are you doing here? Before she could finish, her knees gave way. Without thinking, he caught her just in time. The smell of expensive wine mixed with the faint trace of her perfume filled the cold night air. She was completely out of balance, physically and emotionally. As he carried her toward his car, people glanced at them, some whispering, some taking photos. Ethan felt his heart race, not because of the weight in his arms, but because of the situation. One photo out of context, and he could lose everything. A single rumor about being too close to the boss could ruin his already fragile reputation. But he couldn't leave her there. He wasn't raised that way. He placed her gently into the passenger seat, covering her with his jacket. You're safe now, he whispered, though she couldn't hear him. Her head leaned against the window, eyes half closed. For a brief moment, Ethan saw not the confident CEO who commanded rooms, but a woman lost behind walls she had built to survive. He drove her to her apartment, which was far more elegant than anything he'd ever seen. The guard recognized her immediately and let them in. Ethan helped her inside, supporting her as she stumbled toward the couch. She mumbled a few incoherent words about trust, betrayal, and loneliness. When he brought her a glass of water, she tried to speak again, her voice soft and broken. Do you ever feel invisible, Ethan? He didn't respond. She fell asleep before he could. He covered her with a blanket and left a note, You're home safe, Ms. Bennett. Please rest. Ethan. Then he quietly closed the door and stepped back into the night, his heart heavy. The next morning, he was back at work early. His mind replayed the previous night over and over. He worried someone might have seen them together. What if she remembered? What if she didn't? He was a single father trying to keep his job, any misunderstanding could destroy him. By noon, he was called to her office. His heart pounded as he walked in. Clara was sitting behind her desk, looking sober and distant, but her eyes softened when she saw him. Ethan, she said quietly, motioning for him to sit. He hesitated but obeyed. The silence stretched. Then she said something that stunned him completely. I remember everything from last night. His stomach dropped. He opened his mouth to explain, to apologize for stepping out of line, but she raised her hand to stop him. You didn't take advantage of me. You didn't judge me. You just helped me. And that's rare. Her voice cracked slightly. I owe you more than thanks. She stood, walked to the window, and continued, You know, everyone in this company sees me as some perfect leader, but no one knows what it costs to keep that image. Last night, I almost broke. And then you showed up, someone I barely noticed before, and you treated me like a human being. She turned back to him, tears glistening in her eyes. You reminded me what kindness looks like. Ethan didn't know what to say. He just nodded, still trying to process her words. That afternoon, things began to shift in quiet ways. Clara started greeting him in the mornings, asking about his daughter, and even joining the staff during lunch breaks, a small miracle for someone of her status. The employees whispered about how the boss had suddenly softened, but no one knew the story behind it. Weeks passed, and one rainy afternoon, Clara visited the company parking lot where Ethan was checking his car before heading home. She approached with an umbrella, holding 2 paper cups of coffee. For you, she said with a shy smile. He thanked her, surprised. Then she asked, Ethan, how's Lily? He smiled, though a hint of pain lingered behind it. She's fine. She keeps asking why I'm always tired. Clara looked down, guilt flickering across her face. You shouldn't have to work so much just to survive, she said quietly. You're one of the hardest working people here, and I've never even noticed. The next morning, a company-wide email went out. Ethan's name was on it. He had been promoted to team supervisor, a role that came with better pay, fewer hours, and weekends off. He was stunned. When he went to thank Clara, she simply said, You earned it, Ethan. I just finally saw what was always there. Months went by, and their professional bond slowly grew into something deeper, an unspoken trust that neither of them had expected. Clara began visiting Lily's school events quietly, sitting in the back so she wouldn't draw attention. And one day, Lily gave Clara a small paper flower and said, Daddy says you're the lady who helped us smile again. Clara almost cried right there. But perhaps the most powerful moment came one bright morning a year later. Ethan stood by the office window, holding his resignation letter. He had been offered a better job in another city, a chance to give Lily a new life. He was nervous to tell Clara. When he entered her office, she smiled softly, as if she already knew. I won't stop you, she said. You deserve every bit of happiness that's coming your way. But before you go, I want you to know something. She walked up to him, her voice trembling slightly. That night you saved me wasn't just about carrying me home. You saved me from becoming someone I didn't want to be. You reminded me of compassion. You reminded me of hope. And because of you, I learned that leadership isn't about control, it's about heart. Ethan's eyes welled up. He tried to respond, but she stopped him with a gentle smile. Just promise me you'll keep being the man who believes in kindness, even when no one's watching. He nodded, and for a moment, silence filled the room, peaceful, warm, and full of unspoken gratitude. When he left the office that day, the world seemed brighter. As he drove away, Lily sang softly from the back seat, her voice filling the car with joy. Ethan glanced at her in the mirror and smiled. Sometimes, life doesn't reward kindness immediately, but it always finds a way to circle back. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. Every act of support helps us spread more stories that remind the world what it means to care. Speech balloon before you go, tell us in the comments, do you believe one act of kindness can change a life?